Well, thank you for joining me again.
You're welcome.
I'm just so happy that you have given us the opportunity to hear more of your wisdom and just being you. The first episode that we did of this was just so beautifully received by so many people, and they're waiting for more. So let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
The theme for this episode is patience, and here's what you wrote about patience. Patience is a virtue that carries a lot of weight, and that's weight as in WAIT. I'm learning not to be so patient in some situations. And then you also wrote, having a positive attitude, I handle loss and disappointment well. This happened and whatever. I'm flexible, constantly reinventing myself. Don't tell me who I am, because I will show you someone else. And I don't quit in the middle of things. So if you could just expand on those thoughts. How do you deal with situations where you have to be patient?
Well, actually, I was too patient in my past lifetime, and I had to learn not to be so patient with people.
Explain what you mean by that.
Well, since I can tap into someone and I can see why they said this or why they did that, and so I can have compassion for them. And oftentimes allowed abuse and misuse and control and manipulation because I could understand where they were coming from. And in allowing them to express or their frustration or anger with what was going on in their lives, I compromised myself. So now I'm no longer willing to do that. It's like I'll listen to you, but then let's talk it over and go some other place together.
Do you feel that you gave them too much of the benefit of the doubt in that sense?
Oftentimes. But you can tell when someone's hurting and they're doing things that they wouldn't if they were, happy and in charge of things in their lives and getting their needs met. Oftentimes it's because they've experienced abuse that they lash out at someone who's safe,
Sure.
knowing that I won't respond in anger and retribution. So it's like the mom. She's supposed to love you no matter what you do or say or how you act. And but when you have insights into people's turmoil, you're more kind and compassionate with them.
You also said that you don't quit in the middle of things. Often we will start a project or even get a project going before it's completely planned and find ourselves confused or disappointed with that we're not getting results quick enough. So if you're in the middle of something and it just isn't working, how do you deal with that?
I don't think there are any mistakes. I don't think we fail. And there's always new information. And so maybe you start a project thinking you have the skills and tools and so forth to complete it, but you're missing a key ingredient and it doesn't work. So then you pull back and say, okay, what am I missing? And how can I rectify the information to get what I need? And sometimes we get in our own way. We think it has to be done by this person or by me or whatever. And you don't have the quality of information or the skill of an individual that is necessary to do it. We need to also realize I don't have to do everything myself, that it's perfectly fine to ask someone for help and to make it a co-adventure. So, see, I think that maybe you needed 16 things in place and 15 were right on target. It was just one that was a little off. So then you get that in, and then you zoom. But many people will just scrap the project because it didn't work the way I wanted to. And it was almost there.
Mm.
And so you need to just step back, review. I have a thing that I call telescoping and microscoping. Sometimes you need to microscope it and really get in there and look at all the little nitty-gritty pieces of information and people and so forth. And then other times you need to step back and telescope it, meaning how it's going to fit in with your life journey. And perhaps something you're working on and you really think you want to do and have or say, in the long run, is insignificant. And so you might be spinning your wheels on trying to do something that is not important, really.
I know that you don't allow people to talk you into things, and if an opinion is given to you that you don't agree with, you are very kind about it, but it's not going to necessarily impact your life.
Well, I just say perhaps or maybe and smile.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Because if someone is positive that this is right for you, and you don't think so, they're not going to hear what you say, because if you say, I can't do that, they're going to give you 10 reasons why you can.
What if they start mimicking or speaking aloud the doubts that you have within yourself?
I step back and say, is this really true? Is this mine to do? There are two choices that you have when about a situation or a project. You can be the observer or the participator. And sometimes you're just supposed to watch what's going on and not take any active role, but other times you are meant to participate. And you can ask yourself, is this mine to do? And oftentimes it's not. Other times it's, you better do it.
Often we look for spiritual guidance from God or from whatever we feel spirit is. How do you determine what is yours to do and what is spirit?
Ask.
You just ask.
Is this mine to do? And I get a yes or a no.
What does that feel like?
Well, the yes, if you watch what your body's doing, it's comfortable. It's like, oh. And then sometimes when it is yours to do, you say, oh. It's like, oh, I didn't know I signed up for this. However, when you're asked to do something, I mean by spirit, it's like telling you, affirming you that you have what it needs to accomplish this. And even though you might not think you do, it's like, okay, I'm behind you. The universe is behind you and will cooperate. And all you have to do is ask. Ask for help. Ask that I may be pointed in, if I need a piece of information, be pointed where to go and get it. It could be an individual, it could be on the internet, or it could be sitting in the silence and the answer can just get popped into your mind. You have to listen.
A friend of mine once said that she didn't always hear what God said. And so when she wanted an answer, she wanted bells and whistles and church bells pealing and fireworks. But that's not what you're talking about.
No, it's very subtle. Mm-hmm. You allow it. There are many things that you cannot make happen. You have to be perceptive, receptive, to take time to stop, look, and listen. And then whenever you see how to do it, or whether you hear how to do something, then you must do it. And many people know that they are going to do something, but they just keep talking and talking and talking about it. And they could have had it done in 30 minutes where it's 3 years later, and they haven't taken any step.
Do you think people talk about what they want to do or what they're going to do because they want someone to either talk them into it or out of it?
Perhaps. Well, I think when you're in what I call the age of courage, and courage in French, the coeur is heart, and in Latin, and so it's the age of the heart. When your heart's centered, when you're coming from your essence, that's whenever you know that you've got what it takes. Like Spirit saying, I've got your back. And then when you start to veer off course, Spirit will kind of give you a piece of information. You'll read something, you'll see something, you'll hear something, or you'll have the inner knowing. And you'll say, yeah. When it's working smoothly, then you know you're on target. And you'll get feedback from people. Like sometimes, I know several times in my life, I thought, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm done. And then I'll get a letter or a phone call saying how much that meant to somebody and what a difference it made in their life. And I say, okay, I hear you. Yes, I'll do it. I'll continue. Sometimes it gets pretty old when you keep putting out good information and no one hears it.
Or you think no one hears it.
Right. And then, well, you really never know the impact that you make on other people unless someone gives you some feedback. Or, I guess you could say by observation.
So that also entails a lot of trust in yourself as well.
Oh, yes. I'm sometimes wrong, but never in doubt.
Let's stop this segment with that, just knowing just how much of an inspiration you are to everyone that will hear this.
Now, be yourself. No one else can be.